We'll be talking about the Hyde Amendment. That is that's the provision. Henry Hyde, former Illinois congressman, he's now deceased. He put that on back in 1975, and it has been protecting taxpayers from being forced into partnership with Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry ever since. But even though it's long been a neutral ground for the two parties when it comes to the issue of abortion, not any longer. There's a big effort to remove it and force you to fund abortion. Find out what's happening tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, prayvotestand.org. All right, speaking of spending, President Biden said last week that we've seen, in light of his, as a result of his spending and the big things he's been pushing through, we've seen record growth, record job creation over the first 6 months of his presidency. Of course, Republicans on the House Committee on Ways and Means, on the other hand, say President deserves failing grades on his 6-month economic report card, as we're even looking at more spending, $3.5 trillion in the grab bag that the left wants to pass of all of their goodies. Who's going to pay for that, and what will that do to our economy? Joining me now to talk about this, Congressman Kevin Brady. He is the ranking member on the House Ways and Means Committee. He represents the 8th Congressional District of Texas. Kevin, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with job growth. You gave the president an F on job growth. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so, 2021 should be roaring, as you would think, because we have life-saving vaccines. More of the regions are opening up. President Trump's economic recovery from the vaccine or from the pandemic beat every expectation. Then there's trillions of dollars COVID stimulus, but job growth has actually slowed down in the first half of 2021. President Biden is about 1.4 million jobs fewer added than President Trump did in the last 6 months of 2020. Economic growth is slowing down after the sugar high of all this government spending. New estimates are that our growth for the rest of the decade will be cut by about 30%. As you know, too, wages are down mainly because inflation every month this year, since President Biden took office, inflation is rising twice as fast as paychecks. So families are actually losing ground every month. The other point I would make that economic optimism and confidence is down dramatically these last 30 days. So, this economy should be roaring back. And I think President Biden's leadership, frankly, is what is slowing it down.
You talk about real wage growth that folks experience under the Trump administration. I mean, real wage growth, not just more dollars, but it actually had more buying power. That's being eaten up by the inflation and the soaring prices we see under the Biden policies. But let's talk very quickly, because I know you got to run. But the fact that they're pushing this another $3.5 trillion in spending, who's going to pay for that?
Yeah, so families immediately are going to pay for it in higher prices. That this government spending, just unprecedented, is driving those prices up. So is President Biden's programs that pay people more to stay home and go back to work, driving up prices as well. And you shove another $3.5 trillion into the economy, you'll see that. But I think long term, Tony, this is the greatest expansion of America's welfare state that we have ever seen. Most of these programs don't require families to work. It really sets the hook for more families to rather just rely on government checks than to get that skill, work themselves out of poverty, and actually give themselves new opportunities. We saw this under President Trump's tax reform. We lifted 6 million Americans out of poverty. We started to shrink the income inequality because we're helping people who've been left behind by the government, Washington directives in the old tax code. And so my biggest worry is long term, this is crushing amount of spending. But I really worry that this creates a new generation of government dependence. That's not good for anyone.
And it zaps the energy out of our economy because it takes people out. Kevin, I know you got to go cast a vote on the House floor. Thanks so much for joining us. Always great to talk with you.
See you, Tony. Thank you.
All right.